In today's session, I will walk you through creating a model on Snaptrude. We'll begin with the program and we'll end up with an outcome of creating a proposal out of this model, which includes a proposal for an AI render as well as a mass-end model space layout proposal. And we'll be doing it in under 60 minutes. So a quick introduction about Snaptrude. Snaptrude is a cloud-based platform. We have designed a platform in a way that automates a lot of redundant software and the tasks that we currently have within the industry, wherein we have very segmented workflows. And we are trying to unite all of that together with centralized live syncing of data, wherein you can design and have your data back with that design in real time without having you to waste your time in redoing any of those, whether it's a design or data or updating them simultaneously. And we are simple and fast. We are very user-friendly with a very user-friendly interface. Our users have been able to adapt to Snaptrude and take advantage of it as soon as possible in their projects. So moving on, I will just quickly dive into the project that we'll be doing today. So here we have the program brief. What we will be designing today, it's an arts and design facility, education facility in Boise, Idaho. We have our site area and built-up area provided to us, as you can see. And with this data in mind, we will start off with designing our projects. So I'm going to open Snaptrude. As mentioned earlier, Snaptrude is a cloud-based platform, so you can open this up with any browser. And I will start a new project here. We will name this Boise University since it is based out of Boise. Select our units and we are into our project here. So as soon as we land into the project, the first thing that we will do here is import our topography of the site to better understand the site context that we have so that when we are designing our project, we know what to put forward in our design. So I have the coordinates for the site here, so you can either enter the site name directly or enter the coordinates, and we will be redirected, as you can see, the map to the coordinates that we have input here. Now, as you can see, this is a site we want to work with. We will just adjust this a little bit to make sure that we have enough surrounding context understanding of the site. We will also bring in the surrounding buildings to know what sort of buildings are around. Are they high-rise, medium-rise? What kind of buildings are there around us to know and study our site better? So this is the building that we'll be designing today. I'm just going to delete this for now and move our site. So you can see we have a nice good view of the Boise River. We have some buildings around the site itself. So the beginning of any project, as you know, is going to be an program brief. So what this program brief generally includes is all the spaces that we will be requiring for our project. I have created one for our education facility here today. And we have the breakdown of these areas for each of the space. So you can have an understanding of how much area is supposed to be dedicated to each of the space, how many number of spaces we require. And to further categorize the spaces better, we have them categorized under departments. So this will help us understand what spaces belong to what departments when we are designing our project. So keeping this in mind, what we'll do is head back to our project here, and the CSV that you just saw, we'll directly import that in here. So I'm just going to browse that real quick from my system and click on import. And as I'm importing, you can see that some spaces are now being created here. So Snaptrude basically helps the redundant task of, having to create your CSV and then having to create those spaces again in your designing platform. So we cut down all of that waste of effort and time, and we have your spaces created. Moreover, as I said, all of this design is backed with your data. So as you can see, the areas that we had set up in the CSV that I've shown you are now within your platform itself for you to track in here directly. Furthermore, to see a detailed breakdown, of these areas, we also have tables in here. So once a CSV is imported, you can still see the data of that CSV in here. So right now you see all your departments, all your spaces, and the target area that you have set up, which is here, room count, and we also have achieved area. So as we start editing our spaces, you will see these values change. We'll also see real-time data for the dimensions, so on and so forth. So this way you can keep track of your project as you are working on your design. To get started off, as we had seen earlier, we had a FAR of 1. So we can either directly enter a site area here to set up the target FAR, but I'm going to do something better and actually draw out our site here. So I'm just going to draw an outline of the site boundary. Again, if you have CAD or PDF of the site that you're working with, ideally you can use that to just trace out the site here, or you can just trace it out as I'm doing right now with the sites. I'm just going to quickly. Oh, I'm sorry. Again, Snaptrude is very parametric in nature, so all the design aspects on Snaptrude can be adjusted using dimensions. So you have a very accurate data for over here available with you. Now the space that I've created, I'm going to use something for smart labels. So I'm just going to label this as a site, and this will then be converted to a site with its relative dimensions, which will act as a site. And this data of the site that you see here with area, so you see a footprint area, I will also show you how that has now been fed into our area tab here. So again, this you can again keep editing and changing this as required. If you have a more accurate way of drawing, you can just draw that. We will set up a target FAR of 1 and we are good to go now. Now, we have our site set up, we have our spaces in place here. So the next thing that we want to start doing is understanding how we will be placing the spaces within our site here, right? So I'm just going to head back to our presentation here. So what I've done here is drawn out our site and put it in context with the topography here. So this is to understand what is the surrounding area. So as you can see that towards the west side is the downtown Boise, which is going to be more cityscape landscape view for you. And then towards the east, we have the art galleries and the rest of the university campus. And towards the south and southeast, you can call it, it's the pedestrian street. So this will kind of act as a direct access to our site as well. And finally, towards the north, we have views of the Boise River. So this, keeping all of this in mind, what we can plan out in doing is we will have these accesses as mentioned as a circulation accesses, and we can design our spaces around these accesses as well. So just gonna quickly head back to our spaces to better understand what spaces we have and how we can place them out there. So as you can see, our spaces are divided into two types. We have our studios, which includes Department of Sculpture, Ceramics, Design Technology, Education studios, and also collaboration space. So this will be more of having to do with the students studying within these spaces. And then we have more open spaces, not really open, but public spaces, which includes administrative offices, libraries, public galleries, and lobby and circulation. So we can divide our spaces within two. So all our art studios that we have in here can be placed towards the north side with the views of Boise River. So keeping some idea in mind where these spaces can have like probably glazed walls, which can have direct views of the river. And the rest of the public spaces can come in behind towards the south, southeast, wherein we have the pedestrian streets. So we have the direct access to the spaces from here itself. So keeping some of that data in mind, what we're going to do is go back to our data table here. And what this data table is going to help us do is gather the total area for the art studios that we want to place here. And this will help us understand how much of the spaces we'll be placing towards the northern side and match our FAR with it. So what we will do real quick here is pick the areas from art studios real quick. As you can see, we have a sum of around 50,000. And we will also be picking a little bit of the lobby and circulation because we will also be having some circulation area right there. So we see a sum of 76,300, as you can see here, but we will be taking only some part of this. So let's say only 10,000 of the lobby. So we'll assume it's around 65,000. Going back to the site, what we will do is, again, I completely missed pointing one thing out, that the tables and the design space here are bi-directional. So as you saw that when I selected those spaces there, they also got selected within the canvas. So this is going to act as a bi-directional link for you. Now, first thing what we'll do is create out a circulation as we saw as per the blue axes that we had designed. So I'm going to pick out the draw tool, select an offset mode, and I'm going to draw out this circulation. Similarly, I'm going to draw out. So we have our circulation spaces. So move it a bit to the center. Right. And what we are going to do is, as we saw, we will have our educational facilities studios basically at this area. So we will create a dummy or foundational space for now, just to calculate our areas better. So just created this space, and what I'm going to do real quick is hide these for now so they don't account for in the area calculations. So as you see, when I'm updating my spaces here, you will see these are also being updated real time within my areas tab. Just this. Okay. Also, what we'll do here real quick is adjust the height of the space because we want spaces to be at 15 feet high. So once we have these, what we will do real quick is just copy it around till we hit our target of built-up area of around 65,000, right? So I'm just gonna quickly just randomly copy this up here. So we are very close to our built-up area. It's 63,000. Good enough for now because we have other spaces to design and we'll also be doing some modifications. So this foundational or boundary of what our spaces would lie into can be around in this area. And this is how much we have right now added to our site. Similarly, for the rest of the spaces, that is all our rest of the lobby and circulation, all of our public spaces, which includes public galleries, libraries, administrative offices. That's also some part of it is public space. So yeah, and the remaining of the lobby and circulation. So keeping that in mind, we will have 42,000 of our area for our public spaces. As we had mentioned, we will have them laid out around in the south area of the site, which has direct access to our uh, pedestrian street. So what we'll do right now is similarly as we did before, we will have a space created in here and link it to this end of and another one on this side. This will 80 feet. Okay. We now have public space and our uh, circulation area in here. And as you can see, we have added more to our built-up area, and we'll do a similar exercise as we did before. We have reached nearly 80% of our site, of our built-up, sorry, of our FAR. We can probably do some modifications with the site itself. So if we change, let's say, the circulation area a bit on both the sides here, we see we're reaching closer to our site and probably some changes. As I said, we will keep modifying the form of our building before we lay out our spaces, right? So this early stage form finding can help us before we start laying out the spaces to understand how our building would look like. So what I'm going to do is, since this was a copy of these that we have created, we'll make this particular space unique. And I'm just going to pull this a bit out. We can have a nice outer shed to the lower classes here, which can have direct access to the outer area of our site. So keeping track. So we are around 90% of our built-up area. We will leave the next 10% for any other edits that we will do eventually for the project. So now, since we have created up until this point a basic foundation of what we want our site to look like, I'm going to bring back all our spaces here, and please ignore this because what we just created here, we will remove them and we will replace these with the actual spaces in here. What we created here is just to help us understand the boundary and the form of the site that we want to go in, right? So just going to lock this so we'll no longer be able to edit it. And now we have all of the spaces here, but as you can see, the width is 50 feet. And so instead of editing each of these widths, what we will do is we'll head back to our table here. And let's say the sculpture and the ceramics department spaces, which you can see are in blue color, are also in blue color over here. We'll be placing them first over here. So we'll edit those widths. And as I mentioned earlier, this can be edited in real time. So within the tables as well. So I'm just going 5 feet and copy this across to the rest of the spaces here. And as you can see, this has now been adjusted. We will go back and yeah, you can see the changes have been made within these spaces here as well. So you can double check that using the object properties. As you select the spaces, you can see that width has now been changed. So I'm going to quickly start picking these spaces up and placing them on your side over here. So this is going to help you start designing your spaces. So I'm going to start placing them here real quick. To better understand, you can just hide that other space. So I'm not going to sit and stack and block each of the spaces here, but basically this is how you would start off with your foundational space design. Now, once you have, as I have done here, laid out, basically blocked and stacked all the spaces within your the project. So all the spaces that we had brought in earlier are now brought in here. And what we have also done is purified it a little bit more. We have added a top roof here to this just to give the form that we have created a lot more context, a lot more design in terms of for our project here. Curved out some of the spaces so it looks aesthetically good. And we will also back this form that we have created here with some analysis as well. So the first analysis that we'll be conducting on this to back our design, to validate the design that we have done, is going to be a sun path and shadow analysis. So sun path and shadow analysis will help us understand the path, the direction of the sun path, and these analysis will help us understand what kind of exterior materials will go into creating the project here. So depending on what time of the year you want to check out this analysis, you can adjust this, and also the time of the day you can change this. So as you can see, depending on the time of the day, time of the month, or the year, the shadows change, and this will help you understand how the surrounding buildings are behaving with your building that you created here, with the form that you have created here, and who the year, or let's say depends on how much you set your timeline to this. So we're just going to adjust it to the next, let's say 6 months, and we'll quickly run an analysis. And while the analysis is being run, it will take a couple of seconds. Happy to jump in and answer any questions at this point if you guys have any queries regarding all of the steps shown up until this point. Here we go. We have our analysis run real quick, and as you can see, we have our data over here, which shows us the hours, average hours, basically in terms of the color codes. So if we have more than 9 hours of exposure, it's going to be bright red, and less than 9 hours, or less than 1 hour, it's going to be around blue. And the rest is, as you can see over here. So this, as we were anyways planning on having some glazed wall here to have a good exposure of the Boise River. This also shows that we can have good diffuse sunlight coming in with our glazed light instead of having direct sunlight for hours, for long hours, that is. So, and towards the back of our project, we have a lot more sun exposure, as you can see, longer than the one in the north side of your project. So here, anyways, we'll be having a lot more public facilities. So this will have, we can have some solid walls being placed here. So this way, as you conduct these analysis, they help you better understand your design. They help you better understand if you need to make any changes early on, if there's any different form that you can try out, and conduct the analysis then and see if you get better results there. So for now, I think we are good with this. We've also created some slant over here. So this will also help in, pushing away some direct sunlight and having more diffuse sunlight come in these areas. All right. So moving on, now that we have conducted an analysis, what we will be doing next is making sure that this is presentation ready. So what we have done here is on to a more presentation ready model that I have created here. I've not done much. This is our exact same building. I have just created some context around this, created some lawn areas, a pavement, given it more presentable form. So added in some figures here, some landscapes, etc. And so how to make this presentation ready is we will be exporting some sheets of the model that you see here. So we'll quickly switch back to 2D view and just going to zoom it real quick to our site. I'm going to hide our topography because we will not be needing it for this. And we'll head back to our views. I will change this color here that you see. I want a more white background. I do not want some edges, but not axis. And we've done some settings. We want our labels for our site here so we understand what is coming in. And then we'll go ahead and start with the sheet preparation. So you can directly start selecting from the default sheets available here. So just going to select one of these and set your scale as well from these options available. So once we have set these, just select expand it so that we have everything in view. There you go. If you want to preview it, you can preview it. All right. And now we're just quickly going to save this sheet. So you can see this is saved. If you want to look at all the sheets that we have been saving, you can check this out in here. Now, the sheets that you save in here can be exported to PDF. So we'll just quickly export this. Plans, combine, add a title block. So we can have university, name of company, and click on export to PDF. The PDF export will take a couple of minutes, but this way you can then create PDF. So our settings have been set as is. We can continue just clicking save sheet for each of these floors here. Just wait for a couple of seconds for this to export. But I have a few sheets in here that I can show which have been exported. So as you can see, this is the exact same sheet that we had exported. So the PDF exported will be in a vector format. If there are any more changes you want to do after you export, the PDF can also be done. That is, if you want to change text, the colors, if you want to add more context, clarify it better, have more text around. So you can do all of that once you have exported your PDF as well. So I'm just going to quickly show you a bunch of other examples. So this is the same project, but different floor. And this way you can basically export your sheets and then share them across for presentation later. Right. Okay. Moving forward, we can create renders out of this model that we see here. So what we can do is head to our adjust it to a nice view, or probably even set user saved view. So you can also save views here. These views that you create are again for presentation purposes. So I'm just going to use this. So all of these views here, you can save them. So basically what all you have to do is probably orbit, pan to a particular view. So let's say this is the view you want to save. In this orbit and pan to this view and click on save scene, and this will be saved here. Now I have already, similarly, I've already created a few of those scenes here. What this can help you do is, again, for your presentation, you can export these views as images. So we can probably select what all views you want to export. I'm just going to export a few of these. And So once you export them, you can then share them across to your stakeholders for them to look at the project that you worked on. And then you can also use this for your presentations. Okay. So again, so what we were going to do is AI render this. So we have selected this view here. I'm just going to quickly hide the buildings. Okay, so we just want to AI render this. We'll head back to our views, click on AI render. Adjust our render settings here. We want a realistic render, artistic render. For now, we're going with a realistic render. Adjust creative and accurate slider. So what this slider does is it will give control to the AI depending on where you let the slider go. So if the more creative you push it towards, the more AI has control over your rendering process. And if you keep it more towards accurate, it will be more accurate towards the model that you have set here than give AI some more control over the render. So we are going to let AI take some control here. We also want some background with the render, probably some cityscape background. Again, this is an optional, like you can have that or not. We want an exterior model, and then finally we'll select the time of the day. Let's have some nice sunset. Whether it is optional, we'll go with autumn or summer. Now, here is where you give in your prompt. So you can either enter your prompt as is, or if you are not sure what to prompt for your model here, you can just click on suggest. And what this will do is basically read the model that you have put in here and give a prompt suggesting on what it reads in the model there. So as you can see, it has read this. You can continue to edit it as you require. So we're gonna have architectural scene featuring architectural education facility as an particular panels. So no, this is not panels, same as to based walls, sound, just clean on. Yeah, and so on and so forth. You can edit it as you require. So I'm just going to run this. And we're going to quickly hit renders, and the render will then begin. So while this is rendering, yeah, so while this is rendering, we will head back into the next steps. The rendering might take a few seconds. So we'll let that render in the background. Now, the other thing that I wanted to show is once we have a master model ready, let's say this one that we have here, just again, hi, please. Now, once we have a master model ready, we want to be able to convert this to a BIM model directly and then take it for our downstream detailed design processes, which includes adding in other BIM components, adding in doors, windows, furnitures, etc., detailing this building out, or probably taking this building later on to other platforms such as Revit for detailed building drawings or integrating it with your other structure and improvements. So what we'll do here is this masking model will directly convert using the automate option that we have here. We will adjust the settings for our components that we want for our building, which includes what our exterior walls would look like. So I'm just going to quickly want it as glass curtain, that's right. Interior walls, generic wall, good enough. Similarly, a few settings here. I don't think there's anything to set out here for a roof. All right. We can also change these thicknesses as we require. So I'm just going to leave it as it was. And once these settings have been put into place, we'll just click on create building for the building to come into place. was real quick. Yeah, so once this has been created, what the elements that you had set earlier can be found again as that respective type. It's not a mass, it's not your spaces. Again, these are the element types as you have created them. So walls are being now wall types, and you can still continue and edit them as request if you want to change it any.
Regarding the future and on.
I'm sorry, was there a question or? All right, moving on. So as I was saying, the wall types that you can see here, you can change them as you require. I'm just showing a few examples of doing this. Similarly, your floor type, floor slab type can also be changed. Your floor and your slab comes in a separate component. So all of this edits you can do here. You can change it to whatever other components or other type you can from the drop down here. Just so this way you can have this building created and you can export it and take it directly into Revit, or you can continue editing and making a few more changes here, like adding materials. So you have the material library here. You can bring in your own materials. I have some materials that I can use. Concrete. So again, you can just add some materials this way and continue working on your model here. So as I will show you a completed BIM model of the same project. Okay, yep. So here's a completed BIM model of the same project. I added in some glass facade over here, changed some of the settings for the glass, some brick exposed, blue color brick exposed facade as well. So this way you can, detail out your model as you can see over here. And you can also continue to, if you want to make this presentation ready, you can also run an AI render on this. So just like before, I can show this to you. So I'll just let's just this real quick again, same as we did before. Open AI render. Just push it to creative. And now we can have some render background. Now the difference between rendering it with mass and with the BIM model, the render engine we have at Snaptrude will basically take in the material details that it sees within the model over here, and it will basically render it directly. So with a completed BIM model, you don't necessarily need to prompt in here, but if you wish to add in your prompt, you can do so. That's really okay, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to run this render over here, and we will again just wait for a couple of seconds for this to render quick. While this is rendering, yeah, so let me refresh this real. Happy to take in any questions at this point. The next part we'll be moving on to is basically taking this completed model on to Revit. So that will be the last part of our presentation right now.
Hi, Vibhuti, this is Sujay. Hello, can you hear me?
Hi. Yes, Sujay, yes.
Yeah, see, I would like to ask that there are lots of software available in market, like BIM 360, Revit, and SketchUp. So how it is advanced in compared to other softwares available in, except the AI available in market? That is my question.
Right. Right. So one, we have a much more collaborative platform since we are based on cloud. We are browser-based application. So we are a very collaborative platform. You don't need to download a heavy file heavy setup on your system, or you need a heavy system to run. You need a basic whatever. I'm running this on my laptop right now. So you need a very basic system with a quick internet connection and you're good to go. Secondly, these, since they are based on cloud, you can work from them anywhere on any system, basically. Third is collaborative. Again, you can share this project with anyone you want. You can get the comments from them. Let's say your client, you have created this project, and as I showed earlier, the presentation that we made out of this, you want your clients to look at the presentation that you have created right here, have the comments here before you even export this out or do any post-processing work. So you can do all of that on Snaptrude itself. You can just quickly share your project to them, give them just the viewer access so that they don't edit anything in here and they add in their comments. And you can keep track of all the communication that happens within your project right here itself. And as you can see, I didn't step out of this. I didn't step out of Snaptrude for any of my design process because we were on time constraint. I had to run through each of these that were pre-prepared, but all of these models took me about 30 minutes to 1 hour to create everything in here. So yes, there are other applications out there, but they are quite, as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, that they're quite redundant, that they are not in line with the technological advancements that we have today. So this is how Snaptrude stands different from these other applications right now in the industry.
Oh, thanks. I got
Jay,
it.
yeah.
So basically a
Jay, just to,
presentation.
Jay, sorry, this is Venkat here from Snaptrude. So just to add to what Vibhuti said, in simple terms, right? SketchUp is used for freeform modeling because it's easy to quickly design and come up with the design options, right? But it is not intelligent enough to give you automated data or embed AI, all of that, right? So it's kind of very basic software in terms of intelligence. That's the reason people move to Revit because it's much more intelligent, it's parametrically driven, and it's kind of gets into the BIM side of things. So these are two different worlds. So what Snaptrude does it? Snaptrude brings the best of two worlds, which is in Snaptrude you will be able to do design very similar to what you're doing on SketchUp, which is freeform modeling, like Vibhuti showed just now, and you will also be able to do parametric models similar to what you do on Revit. So this is where there is a significant difference apart from the features what Vibhuti just said, where you will have the best of both SketchUp and Revit in one platform, that too on the cloud. So that would be in nutshell the advantage of Snaptrude over the other tools.
Great. What about plugins? It will be.
It will have two separate zones. They're planned to conduct different activities. So this will be connected this one time. This will connected to the center. We can place the beam. That's one. Only one beam only. Or if you don't, you can put the only one beam.
So I think someone's mic is
You can
mute.
run the schedule.
Jay, sorry. You can ask your question, Jay. Sorry, continue with your question. Blue, can you help mute everyone in the attendees,
Someone
please?
mic's on.
Yes, sorry. Go ahead, Jay. Yeah.
Can you make the drawings in your?
So, like Vibhuti said, yes, you will be able to create basic floor plans and elevations and export them as PDF. If you're looking at construction documentation drawings, the workflow is you take the Snaptrude model into Revit and you do the end-to-end construction documentation on Revit. Yeah, any further questions?
It is entirely different from Autodesk Forma, or it is similar to Forma?
Please continue, Vibhuti.
Yeah. So I think because Zoom is, I'm running on a meeting right now, so that's why AI render is taking some lag time. But I have a few renders prepared here beforehand. I could probably just show them to you right now. So again, as I mentioned earlier, it will take into context the materials that you applied and create renders, as you can see here. So you don't have to, especially if you're working on an early stage design process, you don't have to wait and waste your effort and time into creating these renders. So these are just a few examples of the render here. I wish this could create it, but I think every time I'm running on Zoom, it kind of slows down my system a little bit. All right. So
Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. What sort of cloud credits it is using for rendering this snapshots?
I'm sorry, could you ask again?
Does it use any cloud credits when it is rendering all this using AI?
No, right now there is no credit. Since we are launching the product for the first year, you will have unlimited access to the AI render. There will be no credits for the first year at the moment, and it is being rendered on AWS cloud. So the cloud server is AWS.
Hi, Satya here. I have one doubt. Any in the okay, I agree with your rendering in AI. That's fine. Any option you can do the planning, internal planning or internal layout planning or overall internal planning is possible in AI.
Right now, through AI, no, you can manually do interior test fit outs and designs as such.
What
Okay,
what other
so
analysis it supports?
So in terms of
I
sustainability
think you're
analysis,
breaking up.
like this, Vibhuti, can you reply that question, please?
Yeah. So other analysis that we can do here is the luminescence study. So this can be done on your BIM model here, which is very similar to what we did with the direct sonar analysis. But instead here, what this luminescence study will understand is, depending on the materials that you apply to the building here, it will conduct a similar sun exposure study for your BIM model here. So this is other kind of an analysis that you can do. Secondly, for your BIM model, not exactly an analysis, but a data that can back your model over here is takeoff. So if you want to get direct takeoff of your project here, you can have that, and this can be exported out. So I understand that's not exactly analysis, but it's something that can help you back your data. And finally, for our BIM elements itself, we have something called change log. So if you have cost associated added in to your components, you can also keep track of your project cost as it progresses throughout. So these are some of the other data that you can link to your project over here on Snaptrude. I hope that
So
answers your question.
Yeah, you can extract customized area schemas from this, or it is inbuilt. That is one thing.
Yeah. All the data can be exported here. So I can.
Do you have
expose
means
out.
can we customize the schema of these extracts? Like
Could you explain what you mean by this schema?
for
Like,
example, the area for FSI calculation, the area for so this is the built up and stuff like that. Now this is a particular schematic schema for the area. Now I want to move the floors, across, and I want to put this other items, in the vertical. So can I customize those sort of stuff in here? The schematic look,
so
the schemas.
once you export it to an Excel, you will be able to do all those configuration in the Excel. Typically, that's how users do those kind of customization, right? So it's converted to a proper Excel format. So you will be able to do all of that, set up formulas, set up certain specific schema that you would like to do on the Excel. So the raw data is exported in this format. You will be able to customize this using Excel.
You feel there is some that will not cover.
But then every time if I want to have a bidirectional link with this format, how do I do that? Because every time I export it, I will have to. Do you have a method by wherein, let's say I customize some schema like this, and then I change the design or something, then again I will have to, how does that work?
Yeah, no, see, I think we can take this conversation offline because we need to look into what schema you're talking about. Then probably we'll be able to answer that better. So drop us
Hmm.
your email ID. We will connect with you later offline, and we can
No
discuss
problem.
with you on your requirement.
One, what sort of maps you are using? Are you using OpenStreetMaps or what?
Vibhuti, you want to take that question? Can you show that topography?
Yeah. So we have our maps loaded in from Mapbox, which is an
So
OpenStreetMap.
Mapbox is the technology what we use, and Mapbox is an aggregation of 5 or 6 different map engines, like including your Google Maps, right? So the map source what we use is called Mapbox, as you can see here.
Okay.
Thank you.
What sort of plugins available for this Snaptrude?
What kind of plugins are you expecting? So this is a standalone product, and you will be
Right.
able to design, do AI renders, all of that.
Mhm.
It is not like SketchUp where for performing a particular action you need to install a plugin. So all the features what we have is inbuilt within the product itself at the moment.
And export in which format? Like PDF, PPT?
So you can export in BIM formats and like 2D sheet formats. So the export options are available in the form of Revit, CAD, AutoCAD, PDF, image, then ArchiCAD, all of that. And in terms of import, also you will be able to import image, AutoCAD, PDF, Revit, all of that.
Okay,
It
that's
does a
good.
direct export to RVT. Does it save as
Yes,
an RVT
yes.
file?
Yes.
Yeah, that is our strength. That is our strength, right? So Snaptrude has
Okay.
bidirectional interoperability with Revit, which means I can take Snaptrude model into Revit without any data loss. I can parametrically edit everything in Revit. Similarly, I can bring in a Revit model into Snaptrude, and I will be able to make changes and push it back to my Revit master model. So it is bidirectionally editable in the RVT format. We also import RFA files like your library file. So you can directly import all your library components in the form of RFA into Snapcode as well.
So it is
Which
bidirectional,
Revit
right?
which
Which
Revit
version?
Yeah, it's
version is
bidirectional.
Yeah.
which Revit
So
version is supported?
we support from 2019 to 2025.
9. Okay.
So is there a specific agreement with Autodesk or how?
Yeah, I mean Autodesk has its API, right? So we are using Autodesk's API to achieve this work.
Okay.
So there are a lot of companies in the world that do this, right? So, but we have built our own interoperability. Speckle is one of the companies in the world that is doing. So we have built our own kind of customization, and ours is one of the most powerful and the best integration with Revit in the market today.
How does the licensing work?
It's a named user yearly subscription model. So per user, per license per year.
And do you have so it's a subscription model, right? Any
Yes.
upgrades we get free. Okay.
Yes.
How does
Yes.
it compare? I mean, can you send us the costs and all that?
Yeah. So once, I mean, after this webinar, you will get an email. If you're interested in knowing the price, you can just reply to us. We will get back to you with the pricing information.
Is there any timeline to validate this platform? Like 15 days
You
trial
mean the
period,
trial?
like the
So,
yeah.
right now
trial
we have a
versions. Trial
7-day.
versions.
Yeah, we have a 7-day trial version at the moment that we can offer exclusively for this
Is that
participants of this webinar.
in that full options are unlocked, or is there any limited options are been?
No, for
Yeah.
7 days, you will be able to explore the full options.
Okay.
Including the plugin for Revit will be available?
Okay.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. All right, great questions. So please keep them coming. Any further questions before we get to the final part? We just have a few more minutes to wrap up
What
the.
sort of our ISD will ask us to, because it's all cloud platform, correct? And
Right.
it may not be immediately we cannot help immediately open up your URLs inside our security thing. So how do you propose to, let's
So
say we want to do a 7-day trial, but
right.
because it's web based, what is the how do you propose that we deal with the ISD or IT or firewalls?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a very simple. So again, our firewall is very protected. So your IT will not have problems with allowing our IPs. So we will give you 7 links, which you need to pass it on to your IT to
Uh,
whitelist. That is
yeah,
the
no,
only step you need
that
to
is
do. Yeah.
that is understood. See, the
Yeah.
ISD policies don't work like that in large companies. Somebody from your side will have to have meetings with our ISD even before we go into testing. Otherwise, it's just not possible for the testing to happen. You understand? So how will you
Yeah.
manage that?
So, like I said, you need to connect us with your IT if you're interested. We will talk to them. We will show them what are the whitelisting things that needs to be done. And if
Mm-hmm.
your IT team is okay with that, we will kind of help them with that process.
No, you will have to show your security, commitments, your security arrangements around that. Are you willing to
Yes.
show that?
We have
Hmm.
so it depends on the non-disclosure agreement that if your company
Ah,
is interested to
correct.
sign, right? So it's a process. If you're interested, connect with me offline. We will be able to take it up in a separate
Mhm.
conversation with your firm. Yeah.
You may have to have several meetings with our ISD before we can touch. This looks quite promising. I think you
Right.
should do all that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we are doing so. We are working with some of the large companies in the world, right? And this is a process
Hmm.
standard protocol that we have to follow with those companies. So yeah,
Correct.
we will be able to help you out. Feel free to reach out to me.
Hmm.
You can reach out to the organizers. They will connect you with me, and we can take it forward on a separate conversation.
Okay.
So Venkat, I have the contact details. I'll connect you with Hatik separately.
Sure, sure. Thanks, Charles. Yeah. Excellent. So anyone on this call who have a very similar requirement in terms of your IT team, needing to kind of set up the IP, so feel free to reach out to me. We will be able to talk to your IT team and provide what's required to have access for you. All right. So any further questions before we get to the conclusion part? One final question. Okay, looks like we have answered everything. Vibhuti, yeah, you can go ahead and kind of quickly conclude the session.
Okay. So just quickly concluding on the session here, we started off with a program, we created an Excel, we brought it into Snaptrude, we created a model out of it. And these are some of the outputs that we got at different stages of this model. So at the early space planning stage, we kind of laid out our spaces here and we have then exported out as sheets. Later on, we have run through some analysis. All the area data that we have are, we can export these out as well. So all of these are some different kind of early stage outputs that you can try out. And later on, you can also create some AI renders as we have created here for your presentation models. These are all created on Snaptrude on AI render. And just to conclude and just to show you the real project here, this is the Boise State University for Visual Arts. It's based out in Boise. It was created by HGA Lombard, Conrad, the partnership between these two. And you can see how similar the results are from our outputs here with the actual model that you see over here. So this webinar was just to show you how quickly we can get from our program brief to creating spaces, to creating a BIM model, and then detailing it out later. and then you can take it out to other platforms or your downstream design processes. And all of this you can do within the single platform on Snaptrude itself. So that was it for our today's session. Thank you for your time.